The Tunisian revolution saw an isolated and unpopular regime facing a broad mass movement drawn from every corner and class of society. But the toppling of dictator Ben Ali was only the beginning. The revolution removed a dictator. Now it must fight against everything that made that dictatorship possible. Can the momentum of opposition to Ben Ali bring about real social transformation? Is Tunisia on the brink of meaningful political change? A month after the revolution began, these questions are waiting for an answer. Most Tunisians live in abject poverty. The top 20% of people in Tunisia earn 46.3% of the country's income, while the 20% at the bottom of society earn just 5.9%. It was grueling poverty that on December the 17th, 2010, led 26-year-old Mohamed Bouazizi to douse himself in paint thinner and set himself on fire as a protest against his situation. That morning, police had confiscated his handcart because he lacked a permit to sell fruit, and then beat him when he resisted. He was then abused and rejected by the local council when he tried to complain. On the streets of Sidi Bouzid, a picture of Bouazizi had been affixed to the monument outside the town's municipal offices. The date of his self-immolation is painted on walls with the graffiti announcing the town as a place of freedom. Despite government efforts to placate the unrest that began on the day of Bouazizi's death, more protests started. Following more protester deaths by both self-immolation and police brutality, the rallies and protests grew and started to spread, eventually reaching the capital, Tunis. Lawyers and trade unionists started to demonstrate, and Ben Ali sacked some of his government ministers. Demonstrators were rounded up and arrested, and reports of torture were widespread. 2011 started with demonstrations as police brutality and the use of water cannons, tear gas and live ammunition failed to quash the protests. By January the 13th, 66 people were reported to have been killed and countless others wounded. Ben Ali then made a televised address, announcing unprecedented concessions and vowing not to seek re-election in 2014. When this failed to stop the protests, he banned gatherings of more than 3 people and threatened to use arms against the demonstrators. Tunisia's army under Ben Ali was one of the smallest in the Arab world, with only 50,000 troops. Ben Ali was mistrustful of large militaries and purposefully ensured his army was weak, undersupplied and excluded from his patronage network. Ben Ali's Tunisia was a police state, with the president relying on hand-picked security and intelligence forces to maintain his rule. When Ben Ali ordered the Tunisian army's chief of staff, Rachid Ammar, to fire on the protesters, the general refused. The military instead turned its guns on the security and intelligence forces and gangs of hooligans that Ben Ali had sent into the streets to sow panic. The suggestion from the French foreign minister was that France sent reinforcements to help the police suppress the crowds. This minister has since been removed from the French cabinet. On January the 14th, the army led by Rachid Ammar seized control of the airports and arrested members of Ben Ali's family. The president, however, managed to escape. He reportedly flew first towards Malta, then Paris, before finally turning towards the Gulf, where he landed and was given sanctuary in Saudi Arabia. Tunisians, after the revolution, faced an interim government where 17 of the remaining 22 government ministers were members of the discredited ruling party, the Constitutional Democratic Rally, better known as the RCD. In addition, police force is still run by the same brutal officers who have tortured and jailed so many people, and although there is supposed to be a general amnesty on political prisoners, 3,000 people are supposedly still being held. After Ben Ali fled, the interim government was led by Prime Minister Mohamed Ghannouchi. He had been Ben Ali's prime minister for 10 years and was seen by many as complicit in the crimes and oppression of the dictatorship. He went so far as to declare himself president of Tunisia on the 14th of January, until popular protests forced him to retract his presidency after just a few hours. Determined not to be cheated into accepting a sanitized version of Ben Ali's rule, Tunisians returned to the streets. Flooding back to the central square of Tunis, which houses the Ministry of Finance and the Prime Minister's office. Protesters blocked the army from leaving the square in a bid to keep out hundreds of riot police with water cannons and tear gas.
In fact, these changes have been so slow, and the people are demanding things that have never been done. People in Tunisia have been promised many things, and nothing has been realized till now. And that's why the uprising is so normal. And the oppression of the government, of the demonstrators here, it was 3 weeks ago. It was the starting point, I mean, for this. Nothing has been realized, and that's why we compare what happened in Egypt and here. Things in Egypt are going good, well. Here, no.
It's the rest of the other government that is still in place, and with the same people and the same acts and the same policy, yes. So we won't have anything if these people stay here, stay in the government. That's why they are here.
The occupation of the square prompted more huge demonstrations, during which 3 people were killed by the police. The central square became a campsite, with protesters vowing to stay until they saw change. On the 27th of February, the Prime Minister resigned. Tunisian Trade Union, the UGTT, was instrumental in ousting both Ben Ali and Prime Minister Ghannouchi, using a series of general strikes.
If this revolution will not succeed, we will have another Ben Ali and another Trablsi family. What about he himself being the Prime Minister? How come he can deny that he wasn't aware of anything?
The fight now continues for a complete clear-out of government, a new constitution, and a strengthened parliamentary system with a much weaker presidency.
We want to change the government, the constitution, and everything, because the definition of revolution is to start from the beginning, everything from zero. So we don't have anything, just Ben Ali go to Arabi Saudi, nothing else. So we are here to have the real revolution.
A strong force in Tunisia is the long-running Islamic party Al-Nahda. Banned by Ben Ali, its exiled members were scattered in over 50 countries. In an exclusive interview, chairman of Al-Nahda movement Rashid Ghannouchi, no relation to the Prime Minister Ghannouchi, gave us his view on recent events.
أنا شخصيا لم أكن شاكا بأن ثورة ستحصل في تونس وأن نظام بن علي ميؤوس من إصلاحه.
I never had a doubt that a revolution would take place, and the Ben Ali regime is a party beyond repair.
وهذا لم يحصل أول مرة في تونس، لم حصل في تاريخ تونس ثورات كثيرة، ربما آخر ثورة حصلت 1864.
This is not the first revolution in Tunisian history, and one of them, and is one which took place in 1864.
والثانية حصلت 52 19 52.
And the other one took place in 1952.
وبين ذلك وقعت عدة انتفاضات كبرى.
And quite few big uprisings.
لأن طبيعة المجتمع التونسي طبيعة مدينية وجغرافيته منبسطة.
The nature of the Tunisian society is a civil one, and even the topography and the geography of the country is an open, is a plain.
وليست هناك موارد طبيعية كثيرة في البلاد.
And we don't have so much natural resources.
الناس يعيشون على أعراق جبينهم.
So people, they earn their bread from their sweat.
فإذا كانت السلطة بالغت في النهب فالناس يثورون.
So if there is a excess in corruption and taking the money from the people, and the result is people, they will revolt.
والناس في الجزائر عندما يثور الناس يذهبون إلى الجبال.
In Algeria, when they revolt, they go to mountains because that's the topography of
تعطيهم
that country.
حماية.
And the mountains, they give them protection.
في تونس ليس عندنا جبال.
And in Tunisia, we don't have that. We don't have mountains.
فإذا الظلم وصل حد كبير نخرج بكثافة إلى الشوارع نصنع جبلا في الشارع.
So if the oppression takes its toll, we go in big masses to the streets. So we form our own mountain of mankind in the streets.
فنصنع توازن جديد يعني.
So we create a new balance.
مع الدولة.
A new balance with the state.
وهذا الذي حصل.
And this is what is happening now.
لأن الظلم الآن أصبح أكثر من أي وقت مضى فأصبح ثورة.
So the oppression reached very high levels, unlike any time before, and that's why the revolution came about.
One issue that any future Tunisian government must confront is that of corruption. When Ben Ali fled Tunisia, he is rumoured to have taken with him 1.5 tons of gold from the central bank, worth $60 million. Millions more is said to be stashed in secret bank accounts across the world. A recently released WikiLeaks cable from the US Embassy in Tunisia shows just how corrupt the country has become.
President Ben Ali's extended family is often cited as the nexus of Tunisian corruption. Often referred to as a quasi-mafia, an oblique mention of the family is enough to indicate which family you mean.
What the cables make clear is that the United States knew about the extent of corruption in Tunisia, yet still chose to support Ben Ali. An anti-corruption committee has been set up since the revolution to investigate corruption and misappropriation of funds under Ben Ali, but Tunisians have had little faith that this will return to them the resources that are rightfully theirs.
آخر مثال هو أن أحد أفراد هذه اللجنة ذهبوا إلى قصر الرئيس وأخرجوا الأموال ومن الصدف الغريبة أن الذي أخرج الأموال بيده ظهرت له ساعة يدوية تساوي 100 مليون تونسي.
And funny enough, one of the members who was taking out the money would show that he has a watch which is worth 100 million, 100 million.
معناه 70,000 دولار.
70,000 US dollar. He was wearing a watch. Yes.
لا أظن أن هذا سيكون نزيها.
I don't think.
وأنا أشك من أين أتت له هذه الساعة.
I don't think this guy is going to be an honest. And